travel buddies, and welcome to the Layover Lounge, where every layover is a new story. I'm your host, Keisha C, and this episode is brought to you by kcrumbtravel.com. kcrumbtravel.com is your go-to for all of your Caribbean vacation needs. Be sure to check us out after the show. Today's episode is special to me, near and dear to my heart. We have a special guest in the lounge today. We are here with Nayoka Simone. Nayoka is the owner, CEO, and principal designer of NyRai Interior Design. Welcome to the lounge.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate you. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today and be able to share some great feedback just about your story, your journey. And of course, we talk about all things travel here. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pretty good. Besides these allergies acting up today, I mean, it's been very sunny here in the DMV area. So, but other than that, I'm feeling fantastic. I'm very excited to have a conversation with you. And again, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome always. Don't let it be the last. Before we jump into your legacy and the empire that you are building, I just want to give the travel buddies a little backstory before we tell them your American success story. You are an island girl. You are from Jamaica. Can you tell us just a little bit about where you are from, how was growing up, and what did you dream about as the young girl?
Again, my name is Nayoka Simone. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. And so both of my parents are of Jamaican descent. And so after being born in Jamaica, I was there for just a little while. And then, of course, I ended up migrating to the United States with my mom, where I, attended, elementary school and, middle school, high school. So we migrated to Washington, D.C. at that time. And during that time, those were the good times. I must say, those were the good times where you were walking like 10 blocks to school and waving and talking to everybody on your way to school. And that was some really fun times. And I remember at that young age, I wanted to be a teacher. I was the only child for 10 years, the only child that was here in the States. A lot of my cousins were not born yet, or either they were still in Jamaica. So, of course, coming to the States with my mom, and again, going to school here, I had so many big dreams for myself. I mean, one of the biggest things I wanted to do was become a teacher. So I wanted to teach people. So I would play with my Barbie dolls and be like, okay, we're having school session now. And I would just do these little lessons and things because I always wanted to be able to teach folks. So now that I'm older, of course, now looking back, it makes sense, right? But I'm sure during the conversation, we'll talk a little bit more of how we can connect the pieces to this puzzle. But of course, I love traveling. Traveling is my thing. I just recently came back from Jamaica about maybe 3 weeks ago. So, it's always a good time. I just enjoy my story because there's so much to tell and so much for people to hear and so much encouragement and empowerment in that as well.
For sure. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. We're going to get a little bit more into Jamaica, the roots, and you going back home. I know that that is a special place for you and just that whole journey of going back home. But talk to us a little bit about the creativity. When did you feel like you had your eye for design, for fashion? How did that come about?
Fashion has always been my thing, always been my thing. But knowing to me that I was being a fashionable girl, I was always one who was very cognizant about putting her look together. I love accessories and jewelry. And so that was just a part of me as a young child, just growing up. But when the creativity part hit, I was in high school. 11th, 12th grade year. But I was also working at the time part-time for the government. So I was doing half days at school, then taking off and going to my good old federal government job at the time, right? And so what I did was I signed up for a nail class to learn how to do nails. And so I took that class. It was a class I paid for on my own. And I went every evening, and I was just a girl who just wanted to learn how to do nails and also be able to draw and create beautiful designs on people's nails. And that was the culprit of when my creativity journey began. that kind of shifted into me becoming a wedding planner, shifted into me, selling, products to make women feel beautiful, look beautiful. And then here we are, years later, I am now owner of a luxury interior design company. And so that makes me feel good. And that's kind of the trajectory of how my creativity kind of flown by and flown in. And so I did not know that I had possessed the actual creative eye for design, like really taking on
Right.
the challenge of wanting to design someone's home and their business. Like those are big things. And so I love that God has bestowed and instilled in me this creative talent, that which, by the way, I did not have to go to school for becoming an interior designer, although there are people who take that journey. But my journey is slightly different because I just used my God-given talent and I just executed and ignited it.
And that's what we talk about here in the Layover Lounge, just your journey. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. Because before there was high power boss, entrepreneur, there was just a young mother, primary parent, holding household down, being beautiful on a regular basis. You have a mantra, in my own lane. What does that
Yes,
mean for you?
girl. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes I wonder, like, where did that come from? I don't honestly know where that come from. But what will say is, I feel like when God is speaking to you and these life-changing events are happening in your life, what you realize is that the way that you're moving at your own beat. Um, you're moving in your own lane. You're moving at your own rhythm. You're moving at your own pace. You're moving just by being who you are, nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. And so I can't even remember, because I know you always bring that up to me, and I'm like, I can't even remember when I started that, but it's the staple of the woman that I am. I always say hashtag in my own lane, because it doesn't matter what's happening around me. It doesn't matter what is someone else is doing. The only focus is the roadmap of life that I'm able to follow for myself, that God has given to me. So that's the trajectory and the roadmap that I'm going to utilize, because there's only one me. There can only be one me. And for me, I would love to navigate in this lane that has been prepared and it's laid out for me. So that's what, for me, the backstory of what in my own lane means. Because let's keep it real, like a lot of people, they're so busy looking at everyone else. Why is everyone else getting this? Why is her business blowing up? Why does she look so beautiful? Why does she have money all the time? Why does she this? It does not, none of that matters if you're not loving yourself and loving the cards that have been dealt for you. And so that is where, in my own lane, it means to me minding my own business and setting my own goals and attaining them, and feeling self gratitude for myself.
Awesome. I just wanted the travel buddies to sit with that for a moment and just hear the conviction in Nyoka's voice. I have watched her grow, so I'm watching and learning, and I'm inspired at the same time. Talk to maybe a travel buddy out there who is maybe feeling they're not so much 21 anymore, a little closer to the other side, but you still have
Mm-hmm.
dreams and you still want to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us about how you actually went from Exquisite Weddings by Simone. How did that evolve to NyRai Interior
Oh,
Design?
there's such a huge gap in between the two, to be quite honest with you. But what I will say is that some life-changing events, life-changing events as we evolve and elevate throughout our journeys in life. Sometimes the cards that we were initially dealt, sometimes they get, swaddled out. And so with that being said, during the time I actually went through a divorce. I have two beautiful girls, of course. They're 26 and 22 now. And with that, of course, the shift happened. And when you shift it makes you uncomfortable. When you have to pivot, it makes you feel uncomfortable. When the nature of the original plan in which you set forth for yourself doesn't go that way that you intended for it to, of course you have to pivot. You have to change, and things get ruptured a little bit. So things just start to shake up. And so with that, I just knew that, after changing my residency, meaning moving from one place to another, having to start all over, of course, becoming a single mom, I had to figure things out. But what I realized was it wasn't for me to figure out, because God said, listen, I have your next mission. And the next mission is that of an interior designer, because at the time, with my friends and people coming over to my new home, seeing how I was decorating, I was actually taking out my emotions and the way that I was feeling during that part of my life out in shopping and doing things in my home, designing it, not knowing that that's actually what's happening, right? And so he said to me, listen, this is your new chapter. Your new chapter is, I want you to start going to people's houses like you did your own, with the patience and gratitude and, just having the eye. I'm giving you the eye. You have the eye. I'm giving you the platform. You have the platforms. And so galley up everybody and let the world know that this is what's getting ready to happen. And I sat with that because, see, the biggest thing about the society that we live in is being able to differentiate the voices in your head and knowing who's actually speaking to you, whether it's coming from a genuine place and it's a download that's deserving and fruitful for the growth of who you are as a woman, right? Versus the other person on the other shoulder just telling you these things because actually they're trying to set you down the road of failure. So knowing how to differentiate those two voices, which by the grace of God, I've been able to do that. I knew that God was telling me, I need you to call your homeboy up and tell him to come and take your picture while you sit on this little leather cut couch in your home, and you letting everybody know what's getting ready to happen. And I'm like, for real? Like, I don't have no contractors. I don't have no contract agreements. I ain't got no staff. I don't know what I'm getting ready to do. How do I even do this thing? How am I going to even advertise? What is going on, God? Like, what is getting ready to happen? He said to me, you don't worry about all of that. I got all those details. I need you to listen to what I'm telling you to do. And the first thing I need you to do is take this picture. So fast forward, called my homeboy up. I went to Zara, got me a pink suit, did my own makeup, sat on my couch. He came over and boom, he took the picture. And that one picture is what I posted on social media platforms at that time to say, this is who I am. This is what's happening. And this is what's ready to go down. And that is the launch of NyRai Interior Designs.
And just like that, a star is born. And from what I hear you saying is God will make a way for your gifts. You worried about the wrong thing and the details of how this whole thing is going to come together. But anytime that you are presented with an urge, that's just what it is. It'll keep tapping you on your shoulder. So experiencing that and coming to some different realizations and different levels, how is it now when you walk into different spaces, whether they are corporate boardroom spaces or design events? How does that feel now?
If I feel accomplished, I mean, knowing that, I think no, because I did the work that was required. I did the work. I didn't take any shortcuts. I didn't buy my way into anything. I didn't do any of that. I simply did the work. And just as a natural born Jamaican, which everyone knows, it's that line, right? You have tree jobs, like you're doing all these things, and people, we are known as Jamaicans, we're just known as people who work really hard. And on top of that, being a strong Aries woman, a strong Black Aries woman, a strong woman of power, confidence is what really gets me every single time. I was taught to be this confident, independent, strong woman who needed to tap into her inner power. And so that powerful beast inside of me is when I walk into spaces, I walk feeling confident. My head is held up high, that smile is glowing, and I just talk to people the way and treat people the way that I would love to be treated myself.
I love that. Representation matters. So anytime we see you or young, beautiful, brown, black girls like you, we need to be there. So I love that for you. So let's get into
Thank
what you
you.
love to do. What you really love to do is travel as well. You took the girls, your daughters, to Tokyo. How was that?
Oh, Tokyo. So I don't like to say Tokyo, and the reason being is because I explored more than just Tokyo in Japan. So I like to say Japan because we took trains to go to different places. And that was actually fantastic. That was a dream trip for me. When I was younger, one of the things I always wanted to do was to go to Tokyo. It was like Tokyo. All I remember is all these bright lights, fast cars, these Japanese people outside walking, just this whole nightlife. And so both myself and my oldest daughter had always wanted to visit Tokyo. So we planned a trip. Mama planned the trip, and we ended up going to Japan for 2 weeks. We not only went to Tokyo, but we went to Osaka. We went to Nara. Kyoto was one place that I wanted to go to, but baby, honey, child, let me tell you something. You better have your walking shoes on, and them legs better be ready, and that biofreeze better be on standby, because those steps that you would need to climb to go, to when you get to Kyoto is a lot. And so we were there for 2 weeks. So we just try to, do a lot of the things. I mean, Tokyo, Japan, it's such a beautiful place. And I encourage everyone who is listening and watching this to definitely go and experience Japan. It is one of a lifetime, and it's definitely the new place to visit. You know how it seems like places are every time you turn around, depending on the time of year, you have a whole bunch of people going to these same different places. Like at one point it was Dubai, at one point it was Greece. But I will tell you right now, it is definitely Japan. And the technology there is phenomenal. Never seen anything like it. The air quality alone, like I have sinuses, allergies. Not one time did I have to pop a pill there. They are very big on their air quality. So a lot of their vehicles are electric, so they don't use a lot of gas, and it's not a lot of pollution there. They don't have trash cans on the street, so they do avoid people just throwing trash all over the place. And then the food is fantastic. Like, it's definitely a good time. And they treat you gentle, with care, very respectful, very helpful, and for just the generosity is just out of this world. So planning you guys a trip to Japan, make sure you go, because it's definitely an experience of a lifetime.
Right. And for some of the travel buddies like myself, we are focusing on two main things. Food. I heard you mention the food was good, but what was it like? What is the
Yes.
main dish there? And then I'm interested in accommodations too. So some of our travel buddies that might be heading out to Japan, could you recommend the area or maybe a hotel property that you stayed?
Well, we stayed at a couple of different ones. And we mixed things up with Airbnb. So we made it fun. As far as the foods, for me, I'm a ramen girl. So they have tons of ramen. They have tons of pork, very little chicken, I will say. So if you are a chicken person, they have it, but they're few far in between. And the Wagyu steaks, oh my God. Woo! Out of this world. But I like that and they do a lot of, like, places where you go and you sit down, cook your food, and, they give you all the ingredients and things like that. So the experiences with the food is definitely one that's unforgettable. As far as locations to stay, initially, I know for us, I am a strategic traveler. So when I say strategic, which means I have a lot of things in place that earns me points, gives me returns on my money, pays for things, and I don't have to really pay as much. So I've gotten the money part of the travel game pack, thanks to my travel expertise and friends and girlfriends who put me onto the use of, certain cards and certain things that will allow me to accumulate points so that I can start traveling for free. So with that, initially we stayed at the AC Hotel, and then we moved over to different Airbnbs. And we did that because, of course, it allows for everyone to be able to have their specific own space under one roof. We wanted to experience like the inner community and the inner, the homes and how they live, and the things that they have. For me, being a designer, what do they really have in their homes? And one of the homes, I was actually surprised. The very last one we stayed in, they had like Hermes teacups and crystals and things like that. And so it was really an experience. But you cannot go wrong with your main hotels. So like your Hiltons and your Marriotts and that type of stuff. You'll be fine with that.
Awesome.
But I will say, there are lots of details for a Japan trip. There are people on TikTok and other platforms that sell their itineraries, because there's so many steps and so many intricate details to traveling to Japan. So if you know someone that has traveled to Japan before, it is very important that you connect with them and get those details, because there's so much, so much involved. So strategically, an itinerary for you to be able to have a good time. Let me say that.
Right. That's good for the audience to know. And anywhere you go, and Japan is on our list too over here at the Layover Lounge. I'm glad that that was a wonderful experience. I do want to ask about representation just a bit. I've heard some of the audience feedback about going to different places like Japan, where they see a beautiful chocolate person like yourself, long flowing locks. It wasn't one of those, can I touch your hair type of things, or just really intrigued by your look?
No, it's just intriguing. I mean, they don't do the whole staring for a long time and looking you up and down and trying to, kind of decode you, or, trying to figure you out. No, they don't do that. They just look at you like they're intrigued, and that's it. And they don't treat you any different. They're still pleasant, they still respectful, and they smile. I mean, like literally we rode a bus from the deer park when we were in Osaka. So where this is where the deers, they all bow down to you, which is really cool. And this lady on the bus, I never forget this lady. We took a bus to go back to the train station from the Nara park. And I will say that this lady on the bus gave my daughter some candy as she was sitting next to her. And so it just shows the generosity of, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, they're going to be helpful, respectful, and kind to you. So they are not, I will say, they're not used to seeing people of color. However, the way that they treat you, the dynamics of that is no different than the way that they treat their own people.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Now, final wrap up on Japan. You took your two daughters with you. They are adult women, young women. What kind of bonding experience and legacy building was that for you?
So it was, I mean, it was good. So the thing about it is that my girls and I, we travel anyway together. We do things together. They are like my besties. And we, as a matter of fact, I mean, it's to the point where they get upset if I don't do certain things with them. And I love that, because as our children grow, as our children get older, we know that they become more independent. They start building their own life, having their own friends and just doing the things that they generally love to do. And so being able to have two young women who still are like, Mom, no, come on, Mom, we going to dinner. Or, Mom, we going here. Let's go here. I love that. I love that. And so as far as Japan is concerned, I mean, it was good, but of course towards the end it's like three women. Well, it was three of us. It was my two daughters, my cousin who's a professor at Yale who was taking a training class out there, and then my other bonus daughter. So it was what, five of us. And I'll tell you that it worked very well, but after a certain point it's kind of like, all right now, let's, it's almost time to go home, so we just gonna keep it pushing and moving. And so creating those memories for me, creating those memories for me, they're very meaningful. Those are the memories that'll stay in your mind and imprint on your brain forever. And you can't get that time back. And so to be able to do stuff like this with my daughters, I love it. Overall, I just love it. I love it.
You mentioned earlier about wanting to be a teacher, and you realize just throughout this time we're spending together, you are teaching. You're
I
teaching
know. I was waiting for you to say that.
the girls
I
are
was
watching.
waiting for you to say that because I knew you were going to say that. Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
What have
Yes,
you?
I wanted to be a teacher. And then I transitioned over to wanting, when I was in high school, early on, like ninth, 10th grade, I wanted to become an attorney.
Mhm.
So I went from teacher to attorney. And when you think about it, Keisha, like it's a combination, those two things that I wanted to become to a degree are imprints in who I am today, because I do teach classes. I do teach women who are aspiring interior designers. I do teach women who are formulating their own business models and they need assistance, right? But then the attorney piece is that if things, of course, as you building a business or even while you're in business, you may have legal things that you need to take care of, like the legal part of your business. Or, someone may have an issue and you have to deal with that. And so you still have to have a legal team to represent your business. So both entities of me being a teacher and the legal side are still imprints on my design business, that they're part of that. And so it just comes back around full circle. So it just goes to show, guys, like whatever those things are or those aspiring dreams that you have for yourself, it doesn't matter that you may not necessarily become that directly, but somehow, some way, wherever you end up, it will have imprints of those small things in which you want it to become. So the narrative of a story that you've created for yourself in the beginning may not be the end, but the ending can be so beautiful and so rewarding as move forward. And so I just want to encourage everyone who's watching that, don't give up on your story, and just know that every step along the way counts, and every step along the way that you're being watched and you're being set up for something bigger than you probably could even imagine. So the key is to not give up in that process, to overcome any obstacles and challenges that you may face, but just knowing that there's so much light and beautiful sunshine at the end. That's all with that.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Let me take it back to the your roots real quick. Jamaica, I know you are proud. Here you will be an American success story. I mean, you came from humble beginnings and now you're over here just doing your thing and just really showing out. And I love that. Do you ever feel a sense of responsibility? You go back home often. Do you feel any guilt at all for people who may not have made it out the way that you have?
No, I don't, because we all are the authors of our own story. And so, being the author of my story, I can only control myself. I can only push myself, and I can only push myself to become who I'm destined to become, right? It's kind of like that saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. I'm sure you've heard that, right? So, which means that you can pave the way for other people to see you as a model as far as elevation and soaring. The drive is bought separately. That's separate. That's a separate purchase, baby. That's a whole separate purchase. So I can give you the tools and the roadmap, but you got to drive that thing. And then if you don't possess that, then I can't do that part for you. So I don't feel bad. Only thing I do is I just pray that, of course, God will give them the guidance and the resources that are needed in order to become whoever they want to become. But I feel no sense of guilt whatsoever. I don't feel anything but love in this process, because again, let's go back to that hashtag, because I'm navigating in my own lane.
You heard it here first. You can still put on for your country. You can still represent, but you cannot be all things to everybody. And I love that. There is no guilt to be felt. You did that.
Yeah.
I love
No.
that for you.
None. Yeah.
That just leads us to our rapid fire round. We're going to do Wheels Up with Nayoka Simone. So I'm just going to throw some things at you, and then you tell me first thing that comes to mind.
Ready? Let's go.
All right. Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Text bag or carry-on queen?
Carry on, queen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got you, got you. Real travel memory that blew your mind. The first time you went somewhere, like, that was it. This is it.
Bali.
What about Bali?
It's breathtaking.
Okay.
Breathtaking.
All right. Destination you'd visit again in a heartbeat?
Japan.
Japan again. Got you.
Japan.
Got it. Got it. Your dream client, any space, any person you could design, who and where, who would that be?
You know, I'm gonna just go with the first person that comes to my head, and I think because we will have a good time together,
Mhm.
and she kind of, you know, she's something else, but she seems like she's a good time. I would say Cardi B.
I could see that for sure. I could see that.
Yeah, I say Cardi B.
I think that would be an excellent project. She seemed like she'd give you a lot of creative.
That would be an excellent. Yes, yes. I think she would be like, just do whatever, like make it look real good. I love it, big mommy. Like, I love it. Like, just go for it. Like, I think we would have so much fun because Cardi seems to have no filter with how she feels about things. And I feel like she's a New York girl, and I'm New York so many times, and so I think that we will be a perfect like duo with designing her space. My team and I designing her space. That's the first person that comes to mind.
Awesome. I love that. And I can see that happening. We just spoken into existence on the Layover Lounge.
Yes, yes.
Well, this has been a wonderful episode. We have been chatting with Nayoka Simone, the owner, CEO, principal designer of
NyRai Interior Designs, yeah, which is a combination. I didn't mention this, but which is a combination of both of my girls' name, which is Nyla and Raven. So that's why it's called NyRai Interior Designs.
NyRai Interior Designs. Thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your story, your journey with the Travel Buddies. We certainly appreciate you here in the Layover Lounge. Can you just share with the audience where can they reach you if they are looking for a session or a consultation, or where can they find you across all socials?
Yes. Well, you know, I love to connect with my design tribe. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Nayoka Simone, Facebook at NyRai Interior Designs. And guys, listen, make sure you check out our website at nyokasimone.com, where we have our portfolio gallery. And if you're interested in even booking a free 15-minute discovery call, again, you heard me say free. So all you got to do is just plug in your information, and someone from our design will give you a call to discuss, you know, your questions or concerns, or what could be possibly the next step to going into the official process. So thank you so much, Keisha, for having me at the Layover Lounge. And of course, you know, I look forward to when, you know, we can do this again. Hopefully it'll be the Cardi B. We'll talk about the Cardi B experience, me designing her space, but hopefully we'll be able to do this again.
Yeah, for sure. I'll catch up with you on travel. We'll do a traveling podcast. So that concludes this episode of the Layover Lounge. I have been your host, Keisha C. I appreciate you all being here. Please be sure to like, comment, share to keep your people aware. Follow us at cakefromtravel.com. And until next time, travel buddies, safe travel.